My father was a very integral part of my life, a part of my development. I think I wouldn't be the man today had it not been for my dad. Not just who he was, but his belief in me, the things that he instilled in me. Not even by just teaching me, right, but just the way that he lived. Father set the spiritual, emotional, and cultural tone of the family. As fathers, we should be creating the vision, mission, and purpose of the family, right? Saying, man, this is what our family is going to be about. This is what I want our family to accomplish, and this is how we're going to do that. And I want you guys to follow my lead in doing this. As fathers, it's our duty to help our kids discover their potential, discover their purpose, to answer the why for their lives, right? We help them define their identity and discover who they truly are. I always respected him. I always loved who he was and how he operated and developed me as a young individual. And the fact that he allowed me to go through the process of figuring out who I was and who I wanted to be as an adult was necessary. Just wanted to take this time to recognize and honor fathers because of the role that you play in the home. It's a vital role, very important role, and I just want to honor that. All right, welcome to the new episode of the Myles podcast. This is Myles Jr. I'm your host, and as always, the vision of this podcast is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist. Always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. Just want to remind you of our Monroe Global app. That app is where we house all of our resources, especially resources from my dad. We have teaching series going back to 1984, 83, up until 2014. So years and years of his catalog. We are continuing to update the app with and just making it available for you. So if you haven't already, go to your favorite app store, download the Monroe Global app. And just experience, the content. I think it's life-changing, it's motivational, and it teaches you on a ongoing basis, right? And the goal should be to never stop learning. And this is a tool that you can use to do just that. All right. I want to introduce you to the Monroe Global app, the ultimate platform to empower your leadership journey and inspire your purpose-filled life. Access timeless teachings designed to help you grow in every area of your life. From leadership development to personal growth, Monroe Global has it all at your fingertips. With the Monroe Global app, you'll have exclusive access to powerful videos and messages from the legendary Dr. Myles Monroe, a digital library packed with life-changing content right at your fingertips, and a vibrant global community of visionaries, leaders, and change makers just like you. Whether you're at home, on the go, or in the office, the Monroe Global app ensures you never miss an opportunity to learn, grow, and lead. Available now on Google Play and the Apple App Store, the Monroe Global app is your gateway to unlocking your potential and impacting your world. Download the Monroe Global app today and take the first steps toward living the life you were born to lead. Secondly, the Monroe merch, legacy brand merch. Want to encourage you to visit the website legacybrandshop.com. Check out the merchandise that we have available. Really happy about the response that we've been getting. Persons are loving the brand, loving the material, and what we're offering. I'm looking forward to introduce some new designs in the lineup. But for now, just go to the website, visit the take a look at the products that we have available, and stay on the lookout for new products that will be coming on stream very soon. All right, so this week, this Sunday is Father's Day. So I wanted to take this opportunity just to highlight fathers and appreciate fathers. You know, my father was a very integral part of my life, a part of my development. I think I wouldn't be the man today had it not been for my dad. Not just who he was, but you know, his belief in me, the things that he instilled in me, not even by just teaching me, right, but just the way that he lived, and the way that I observed him in different spaces and on different stages and in different rooms, wearing different hats. It just did so much for me and my growth and my development, and I see the importance that he had in my life, and I see the importance that I now play in the life of my daughter. You know, I'm excited to embark on this journey of being a father. I'm looking forward to assisting with the development and the growth of my kids once I have other kids. But I am very appreciative of my father and the other father figures that I've had in my life and still continue to have. You know, those father figures. I think though they fathers, or you know, these father figures are the first form of leadership that we see as kids, whether it be in the home or whether it be in, you know, whatever environment it is that you interact with these father figures in your life. For me, it was the home. You know, my dad was the first leader that I saw, and I feel like, you know, fathers as leaders of the home, right, the head of the home, fathers set the spiritual, emotional, and cultural tone of the family. You know, I think everything begins or is founded on, you know, what the father gives, the his leadership within the family structure. You know, because leadership isn't supposed to be loud; it's just supposed to be consistent. And I'm a testament of that statement, right? Um, you know, growing up in my dad's home and under his leadership, like he was never a loud and boisterous individual, but he was very consistent in not only what he taught me, but in living what he taught. And I think that did a whole lot more for me than him directly teaching me. Like just being able to observe my dad and seeing that exactly who he said he was, or exactly who he said he wanted me to be, like he exuded and portrayed as an individual. Um, you know, I liken fathers to like presidents or prime ministers or CEOs or chairmen of a company, right? The first president, the first prime minister, the first CEO, the first chairman that kids see and are introduced to are the fathers. More times than not are the fathers of the home. You know, I know there are homes that don't have fathers, right? And mothers play the roles of the fathers. But there are those individuals that even if you don't have a biological father present in your life or in your home, you have those father figures that carry those carry the weight of those roles. So you know, the our first experience as kids, you know, for the leadership role, whether that be the president, prime minister, you know, however you would determine or define or identify as leaders, like our fathers are that first beacon for us. And I think that makes fatherhood like super important. And you know, I just want to just honor fathers this week, you know, leading up to Father's Day. Uh, I don't think I don't think fathers get um, enough recognition. Like fathers are recognized, we are praised, we are applauded, we are honored. But I think like we uh, we may not get the recognition that we get because you know the duties that we fulfill are expected. Um, and you know that's neither here nor there. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying that I personally, you know, just want to highlight fathers, especially this week, and just give them their flowers, right? Because fathering isn't an easy job, right? There's no blueprint, there's no manual, there's no step by step process on how to be a father or how best a father, right? As fathers, we have if you have multiple kids, each child is different. You rear and raise these kids according to their makeup and their personalities and their characteristics. As parents, you do that, right? And as fathers, you have to recognize different motivational tactics or techniques that you can use for your kids to get them going and continuing to develop them. So, as fathers, there are roles that we play significantly in the lives of our kids and in our homes, right? And I just wanted to highlight four of those roles. Four of those roles that I think are very important and should be highlighted, and we as fathers should never ignore. Right? I think it's something that we should prioritize in our fathering and rearing of our kids. First of all, we're the vision casters, right? We set the direction of not only the kids but the entire family. I think as fathers we should be creating the vision, mission, and purpose of the family, right? Saying, man, this is what our family is going to be about. This is what I want our family to accomplish. And this is how we're going to do that. And I want you guys to follow my lead in doing this. So we cast a vision for the family. And, I'm just thinking back on my dad and the vision that he had for his life, which kind of segued into our family. And each of us now, meaning my mother, myself, and my sister, we all took a piece of that vision, right? And internalized it. And we kind of we're living that the way that we see best for our lives, right? And the goal is to accomplish the overall vision, which was originally set by the Father. And I think that continues for each generation, right? The vision that I saw and received from my father, I am setting now for my life and for my kids, and hopefully that they will continue the trend. Because we cast that vision. It's our duty to do that. Secondly, we're the culture setters. This is very important. We set the tone for peace. We set the tone for faith. We set the tone for discipline. I remember my dad. The culture that he wanted to build was a culture of prayer in our family. Every morning, when we were in school, every morning we did prayer and devotions. That was the culture that we set. So every morning we woke up before we went to school, we read a scripture, we talked about the scripture, and we prayed as a family. Another culture that my dad, well, both of my parents set was for us to always eat together as a family. And as subtle or as trivial as that may be for some people, I think it's important. I think it's important for fathers and parents to set time aside to where you're coming together as a family and you're having a meal, right? And you're having a meal with no distractions. So no TVs, no phones. It's a meal where you're sitting around a table and you're actually conversing about either your day, what's going on in your life, your interests. What are you, like just making the table a place of community. So that's a culture that my dad built, and that's a culture that I intend to continue because, first of all, the prayer and devotions, it really laid a foundation for me spiritually, right, with my faith. And it's something that I never forgot, even though I may not have liked it. Like, there's full transparency. Early in the morning, you don't necessarily want to sit around and read the Bible or pray, especially being in elementary and junior high school or whatnot, because at that time, you don't see at least me, let me not generalize, I didn't see, the importance of it. But I appreciate the fact that my parents forced me to, basically, and it was something that I needed development and rearing in. And I'm happy that it happened because now it has set the tone for my spiritual life and how I wake up and go about my day on a daily basis. And that's the exact type of culture I want to instill in my family, right? I want to have a family that is prayerful, that is strong in our faith. And, we don't do anything, don't make any decisions until we seek guidance from our spiritual father. And, as far as doing things together as a family, I think that's pretty consistent with, how I grew up. So, just setting the culture for the home, setting the culture for the family is one of the roles that fathers play. Another is the protector of purpose, right? As fathers, it's our duty to help our kids discover their potential, discover their purpose, to answer the why for their lives, right? We help them define their identity and discover like who they truly are. Man, when I was growing up, I only could imagine like my dad looking at me and going through the process of trying to like figure out who I was and identify like me, as Myles Jr. And man, that had to have been something crazy to watch, right? Because I grew up so I was born in the '80s, grew up in the '90s. So this was when the hip hop was at its highest. I was a big sports fan. That translated to being a big Michael Jordan fan. I was a big Allen Iverson fan. So I had all the cornrows. I used to wear all the baggy clothes. I used to have posters of my favorite players hanging on my walls in my room. And man, I think about it now and just think about my dad and just like him maybe coming in my room when I was in the room, like when I was in school or whatever, and him looking around and being like, yo, my son got all these posters of these guys who I may not agree with, I may not like their image, but I want him to figure it out, right? And I'm just here to guide him through that. He was never like, my dad was never like, take these posters off the wall or don't put these posters up or don't, he was never like demanding of me not to do things, right? He allowed me to go through the process of discovering my identity. And I appreciate him for that, right? Because it wasn't forced on me. Nothing was forced on me. And um, I think, although it might have taken me a bit longer than he may have liked, I'm pretty sure. I eventually, yeah, I always respected him. I always loved who he was and how he operated, and developed me as a young individual. And the fact that he allowed me to go through the process of figuring out like who I was and who I wanted to be as an adult, was necessary. So that's, I know the fathers, like, even though you may think, man, my son, my daughter, like they're going through these phases that I don't understand, I don't agree with, I don't like. But man, just stay prayerful, right? Keep praying over your kids, keep speaking life into your kids, keep showing your kids great examples for them to follow. And I guarantee you it's not falling on deaf ears, and it's not going unseen. They subconsciously, if even they are understanding and recognizing what it is that is happening through you to them, and it will at some point take effect. All right. So we we guide and protect purpose. We guide our kids into discovery of their true self. And it's our duty to do that. And in the process, we correct all of these, the societal false narratives that exist. And my dad was big on that, really telling us like, yo, you were born to be a leader. Like, you were born for a purpose. You weren't born in vain, right? There's something that you were placed on this earth to do, and it's your duty to discover what that is. And regardless of what society says, right? You weren't born to live paycheck to paycheck. You weren't born just to go to school, get a job, get married, and die, right? You were born to solve a problem on this earth. These are things that I consistently and constantly heard in my life, spoken over me, spoken into me. And it was because of my dad. And I think that's what we do when I talk about we are protectors of purpose, right? We build our childs up with their confidence, their ethics, their morals, their character. We as fathers, we should be the ones instilling in them the foundation of who they are. And like I said, it goes a long way. Even if you don't, as fathers and parents, you don't think it's getting through or it's affecting your kids. It is. Just continue to do it. I think, like I said, father isn't about being loud. It's about being consistent. So consistently pray over your kids, consistently speak life into your kids, and just acknowledge that they're growing individuals, developing in their own way. It may not look pretty, may not look right, may not feel right, when you're watching it happen, but understand that the process is the process. And I think as fathers, it's just rewarding when your kid turns out, to be the individual that you envisioned, or the individual that you hoped that they would be.
Do you feel like there's more to life than what you're experiencing? That deep down, you're meant for something greater? It's time to stop wondering and start discovering. At the Monroe Institute of Leadership, we believe every person carries a unique purpose, a calling designed specifically for you. Our transformative courses, Discover Purpose and Unlock Your Potential, are crafted to help you uncover that purpose and equip you with the tools to step confidently into your destiny. These powerful courses are for leaders, entrepreneurs, students, and visionaries like you. Through proven principles and actionable insights, you will clarify your vision and set bold goals. You will identify your strengths and passions. You will overcome the barriers holding you back, and you will step boldly into your God-given potential. Our expert facilitators draw from timeless and tested principles, blending practical strategies with kingdom truths to empower you to lead a life of purpose, impact, and transformation. The world needs what you have to offer. Don't let another day pass without unlocking the greatness within you. Visit our website, themill.org, and register today. The Monroe Institute of Leadership. Renew your mind and transform a generation.
The fourth is we are builders through our presence. You know, the key is for us to just always be present, be there as much as we can, show up as consistently as we can, make time count more than the money that we spend. A lot of times we, as fathers, could get so busy in the routine of life, trying to provide and make ends meet, that we think that because we're spending the money or providing the money, that it allows us now to not have to spend as much time. But time is super important. Our kids in general love to have the presence of not only their father but their mother as well. But they love to have the presence of their parents around, whether that's at home, whether that's during extracurricular activities, whatever it is that they're doing. They actually love their parents to be a part of every aspect of their life. And so the goal and the role of fathers is just to be present, right? To show up consistently. And I think, if we kind of try to prioritize these four roles, there will go, a ton more. But these were just four that I kind of highlighted and think that, these lay a great foundation for developing great kids. It's what my dad did for me. It's what I hope and intend to do for my kids, and it's what I'm encouraging and challenging fathers out there to do as well. Because fathers are stewards of God's children, right? We don't own them; they're not ours. When my daughter was born a couple of months ago, my wife and I made the decision to dedicate her back to God, and that process is showing God that this is the gift that you gave me. I'm dedicating her back to you, asking you for guidance, asking you for wisdom in developing and raising this child the way that you would want me to, right? So we should be God's reflection here on earth for our families, for our kids. And I think that's what it's about. And kudos to fathers who do just that. Is it easy? Absolutely not. It's a sacrifice. Some things go unnoticed, some things go unpraised, but we do the job nonetheless, and it's on us to really steer the ship of our family, steer the ship of our kids and their lives and their development. And I just wanted to take this time out to honor fathers, both past and present, and future fathers as well. This is your time to maybe not start preparing, but at least start visualizing, how you want to see yourself as a father. Because if you do intend to or do want to be a father someday, you're going to sit in this seat and you're going to be the leader of your home, right? The CEO, the president, the prime minister of your home. And you want to ensure that you're instilling the right culture, the right environment, you're cultivating purpose, and you're present through the process. So yeah, I again, just wanted to take this time to recognize and honor fathers, because of the role that you play in the home. It's a vital role, very important role, and I just want to honor that. All right. So now this brings me to the portion of the pod where I leave with you a milestone, and the milestone today, from me, is a letter to fathers. All right. On this Father's Day, I find myself reflecting deeply, not just as a son, but now as a father too. I think about my dad and the kind of father he was, a man who didn't just teach with words, but with his life. He taught me how to lead with vision, how to stay grounded in purpose, and how to love without conditions. His presence, his discipline, and his belief in me laid a foundation I still stand on today. And though he's no longer physically here, his voice still guides me, not just in the big decisions, but in the quiet moments of fatherhood. Now, as a father myself, I understand so much more. I understand the weight of wanting to protect, provide, and prepare. I understand the tension of trying to lead while still learning, of showing strength while also learning to be soft when it matters most. Being a dad to my daughter has opened a whole new level of love and responsibility I couldn't have fully grasped until I held her in my arms. To every father out there, I honor you. I honor the quiet sacrifices you make. I honor the strength you carry and the tears you may not show. I honor the effort, not the perfection. And I want to remind you that your role isn't just important, it's irreplaceable. You are the first mirror your children look into to understand identity, worth, and love. To those who didn't have the best example of a father, know this: you are not bound by the past. You have the power to reset the standard and to be what you never received. You can break cycles and start new ones. To the future fathers, your preparation starts now. Learn to lead yourself before you lead a family. Heal, grow, build your character, and sharpen your vision. Because fatherhood isn't just about showing up one day, it's about becoming the kind of man worth following every day. Our homes, communities, and nations rise and fall depending on the strength of our men. So, to every father listening to this, thank you. You are valued, you are needed, and you are honored. Happy Father's Day. So, with that brings me to the end of this episode. Again, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Hopefully, you get a little more than a pair of socks or some ties or some crab and rice this week. Hopefully, you get a little more. That's a hint to my wife. But happy Father's Day. Wishing you guys nothing but happiness and success on your day. All right. So that brings us to the end of this pod. As always, the vision of this pod is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist, always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right. Until next time, you guys stay blessed.